Are you feeling lost, like you're missing something important in your life? Maybe you've been facing challenges or experiencing moments of silence, wondering if there's a message you're not hearing. In this video, you'll discover how God might be trying to reach out to you in ways that seem subtle, but hold powerful meaning for your life. By watching until the end, you'll learn how to recognize these signs, how to feel His presence more closely, and how to find purpose and peace in His guidance. Imagine understanding why certain struggles or moments of silence keep appearing in your life, or feeling comfort in knowing that there is a reason behind them. This isn't just about receiving answers. It's about experiencing a deeper connection with God, one that will transform your faith and help you walk a path with more clarity and strength. If you're ready to find new direction and to hear what God may be saying to you right now, hit the like button and subscribe. By subscribing, you'll get more insights and guidance on connecting with God's voice and purpose every week. Have you ever felt like there's something deeper behind the ordinary events of your day? Sometimes God's messages are hidden in plain sight, woven into the smallest details of our lives. The world around us, with its beauty and struggles, is filled with subtle signs of God's presence, waiting to be noticed. When we open our eyes to these signs, life itself becomes a conversation with God, one that can bring us comfort, direction, and a renewed sense of purpose. Think about those moments that seem like coincidences. A friend reaching out when you're feeling down, a song on the radio that speaks exactly to your situation, or an opportunity that appears just when you need it most. These aren't just random events. They could be ways God is guiding you, gently nudging you toward a certain path, or offering reassurance that you are not alone. When we start recognizing these signs, it's like a veil lifting, revealing a world where God is actively present in every step we take. God often speaks through people we encounter and the challenges we face. That conversation with a stranger, that unexpected delay, or even the feelings that stir in your heart, they're all pieces of a larger message He's crafting just for you. Our busy lives make it easy to overlook these small nudges, but taking a moment to pause and reflect can open our hearts to the wisdom He is offering. Imagine the peace and clarity you'd gain if you knew God was speaking directly to you, guiding you through each day. Sometimes God's signs come through feelings we can't ignore, a strong sense of calm during a stormy season, or an unexplainable urge to take a certain step forward. These are His whispers, quiet and gentle, yet powerful enough to steer us toward our purpose. These feelings aren't there by accident. They're invitations to listen more closely, to trust that God is aligning things for our good, even when we don't fully understand His plan. When you start to pay attention, you'll see that God's signs are all around you, calling you to look deeper, to listen more attentively, and to trust that He is always near. By learning to recognize His voice in the everyday, you'll find yourself walking a path that feels guided and filled with hope. In the hardest moments, when pain and confusion seem overwhelming, it's natural to ask, why is this happening to me? Yet sometimes it's through these very challenges that God speaks most clearly. These struggles, as difficult as they may be, often carry a message, a lesson, or a new direction that only becomes visible when we face them head-on. God uses our hardships to reveal His strength and to build ours, showing us a way forward that can bring profound growth and transformation. Imagine the strength you could find if you viewed every setback as a step closer to something greater. Challenges often strip away the distractions, forcing us to confront our deepest fears, doubts, and insecurities. But through these trials, God is there, reminding us of His promises, shaping our character, and calling us to rely on Him more fully. Each struggle becomes an opportunity to experience His guidance, His comfort, and His plan, even when the outcome feels uncertain. When life's storms hit, God sometimes allows us to reach a point where we can no longer rely solely on our own strength. It's in these moments of vulnerability that His presence can feel most real. In our weakness, He meets us, offering a strength that we could never summon on our own. The lessons we learn through these moments of surrender are profound. They teach us about resilience, patience, and a deeper faith that stands firm, even in the darkest times. God doesn't just use challenges to test us, He uses them to refine us. Trials often reveal parts of ourselves we may have overlooked, bringing out resilience, empathy, or courage that we didn't know we had. Think about the ways you have grown through past struggles. Those painful moments were not wasted. They were seasons where God was molding you into the person He created you to be. Each hardship leaves us stronger, more compassionate, and better equipped to fulfill His purpose. By viewing your challenges as moments of divine instruction, you open yourself up to hearing God's voice in ways that comfort and uplift you, even when life feels heavy. The next time you face a struggle, consider asking yourself, what is God trying to show me through this? Through every challenge, He is there, using these moments to draw you closer to Him and to reveal a path filled with hope and purpose. In our noisy, busy lives, it's easy to feel distant from God, as if His voice is hidden beneath the rush of daily demands. Yet, it's often in moments of prayer and stillness that God speaks most clearly, whispering truths that our hearts crave to hear. Prayer is more than a ritual. It's a sacred space where our souls meet with God, where we lay down our worries and open ourselves to His guidance. When we seek Him in quiet, we allow His voice to fill the silence and bring clarity, comfort, and direction that our hearts long for. Imagine taking a break from the constant demands around you, finding a quiet place and simply being with God. In these moments, the noise fades and we can tune into His gentle voice. Prayer invites us to slow down and pay attention to His presence. When we set aside time to speak with Him and listen, even the faintest whisper from God can bring peace to our most anxious thoughts. This is where we experience His love in its purest form. A love that reassures us that we're not alone, no matter how overwhelming life may seem. God often speaks in the stillness, when our minds are calm and our hearts are open. Think of Elijah on the mountain, who expected God in the powerful wind, earthquake, and fire, but instead found Him in a gentle whisper. Like Elijah, we too can encounter God in the quiet, in moments when we release our fears and surrender our need for control. The silence is sacred. It's where God waits to reveal His wisdom, speaking to us in ways that we can only hear when we let go of the noise and listen. In prayer, we're not just speaking to God, we're also creating space for Him to speak to us. It's a conversation, a time to pour out our hearts, and then sit in expectancy, ready to receive whatever He wants to share. By practicing stillness, we train our hearts to recognize His voice, a voice that often comes not in loud declarations, but in gentle impressions, subtle directions, or feelings of peace that guide us forward. These moments can reveal insights that bring us closer to our purpose, helping us to understand God's will for our lives. The beauty of prayer and stillness is that they transform our connection with God from something we seek only in times of need to a continual relationship. Through prayer, we experience a closeness that reminds us that God is with us in every situation, eager to guide and support us. So make room for these quiet moments. Set aside time to pray, to be still, and to listen, for it's here that God's voice becomes a lifeline, guiding you through each step of your journey with hope, clarity, and a peace that only He can provide. In a world filled with constant noise, endless responsibilities, and distractions at every turn, hearing God's voice can feel like searching for a whisper in a crowded room. It's easy to become so overwhelmed by daily demands that God's guidance gets lost in the background. But God's voice, though gentle, is persistent, and it's often there, just waiting for us to notice. The challenge is learning to filter out the noise of the world and tune into the voice that brings us real peace, direction, and purpose. Imagine if you could silence the voices that pull you in 1,000 different directions, the demands of work, the pressures of social expectations, or the non-stop stream of information from our screens. In the midst of this, God's voice is a calming presence, offering clarity where the world brings confusion. To truly hear Him, we must create intentional moments to step away from the world's noise. This act of stepping back allows us to connect with the one voice that seeks our highest good, reminding us of who we are and the purpose He has for our lives. One of the most powerful ways to recognize God's voice is by familiarizing ourselves with His character through Scripture. The more we learn about Him, the easier it becomes to identify His voice among the countless others vying for our attention. His voice is never condemning or impatient. Instead, it brings encouragement, love, and conviction that draws us closer to truth. When we deepen our understanding of His nature, we can distinguish His words from those that only add to our stress and self-doubt. It's also essential to guard our minds and hearts from influences that can drown out God's voice. Negative influences, toxic environments, or even our own fears and insecurities can make it harder to hear Him. Recognizing God's voice often requires a conscious effort to shift our focus, to be selective about what we allow to influence us. It's about choosing to focus on the things that uplift us spiritually, that resonate with His truth, and that reinforce the path He is leading us on. By intentionally seeking moments of quiet, studying His Word, and guarding ourselves from distractions, we become more attuned to God's guidance. His voice becomes clearer, a constant presence amid life's chaos, leading us with patience and wisdom. Every time you choose to listen for Him, you strengthen your connection with His heart, allowing His voice to become the guiding light that breaks through even the noisiest distractions, bringing you back to His peace and purpose. When God speaks, it's not always easy to follow His path. Sometimes His guidance leads us in directions that challenge our comfort zones or require us to make sacrifices. But faith and obedience are essential if we want to walk in alignment with His will. Embracing God's direction with trust, even when we can't see the full picture, is what transforms us and allows His plans to unfold in our lives. It's a journey that asks for courage, yet promises rewards that fill our lives with purpose, peace, and blessings we could never achieve on our own. Imagine what could happen if you fully surrendered to God's guidance. When we choose obedience, we're telling God that we trust Him more than our own understanding. This isn't about blindly following, it's about having faith that His perspective is far greater than ours. Obeying His voice can lead us to experiences we never imagined, to connections that shape our lives, and to opportunities we never saw coming. Through obedience, we allow God to do His greatest work in us and through us. It's natural to feel uncertain or even afraid when God's direction seems unclear or risky. But faith is about taking that first step without needing to see the whole path. Like Abraham, who left everything familiar to go to a place God would show him, we're called to trust that God's guidance is always for our good. Each act of obedience builds our faith, revealing that even the smallest steps can lead to profound change. When we surrender our fears and doubts, God rewards us with a strength and confidence rooted in His promises. Obedience to God is not only about big life decisions, it's also about the everyday choices we make. It's in choosing to show kindness when it's hard, to forgive when it feels impossible, or to take a leap of faith when it doesn't make sense. Each act of obedience draws us closer to Him, aligning our hearts with His will. Through these choices, we experience the joy of living in harmony with God, feeling His presence and blessing in every step we take. As you embrace faith and obedience, remember that God doesn't expect perfection, only a willing heart. Every time you choose to follow His guidance, you're building a foundation of trust and opening yourself up to His best for your life. It's a path that requires courage, but leads to a relationship with God that's rich, fulfilling, and unshakable. By following Him, even when the way is hard, you'll discover a peace that defies understanding and a purpose that goes beyond anything the world could offer. Trust in Him, take that next step, and watch as He leads you into a life marked by His incredible grace and love. As you navigate life's complexities, remember that God is always speaking, guiding, and reassuring you. By embracing faith and being attentive to His voice, you can find peace and purpose in every step you take. Thank you for watching. If you found this video inspiring, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel for more uplifting content, and don't forget to check out our next video for more insights.